Hey guys, welcome to my channel, welcome to my stream, and welcome to another chapter working on this guy here. That's our Su-35S Flanker E by Great Wall Hobbies. Can you run the intro please and we'll get started? Thanks. Guys, we're back. We're back. Another chapter. And another coffee. What are we doing today? Well, I gotta do this first before I actually get started. Okay. I got my chicken in the oven and it's cooking, so I gotta make sure I got my timer going. That's not any of your business, you don't have to worry about that. What are we doing today? Well, last time we did some tail fins. We got these assembled, right? And we've got the elevator fins. Those are, oh Hashim, hello, how are you? We got these put together, and so that's those, okay? We also did a little bit of assembly on our engines. So, you might notice these look a little bit different than last time, and that's because I've put the cap on there, okay? What I did is I have this tube of, I'm gonna grab it here, synthetic grease. I'm great, thanks. Synthetic grease, I put a little bit onto the piece here before putting this on. You'll notice I can actually turn this and I can move it. I can move this around on there. It's a tight fit, so this is why I put the grease on there. This is going to allow you, later on, we're going to be able to put this on the end, and then we'll actually be able to mimic the thrust vectoring. Now because it's so tight, I don't want to actually try and move it here. So I'll grab it like this, and we're going to be able to do that later on and actually do the thrust vectoring on there. Are you making a plain model, like a toy, or a model? It's a model. If you look at that picture there, it's that guy there, the Su-35S. It is a plastic model kit, and yeah, definitely not a toy. You don't want to play with it when it's all finished, because you're just going to wind up breaking it. Hola, Uncle. Hey, how are you? You look like you used to have a big farm. No, never had a farm. Never had a farm. Yeah, so we've got that done. Did that both engines. Say we can move that around. That's going to be good. That just actually comes right off. So yeah, this one's a little bit of a looser fit. I guess I did a little more sanding on it. So this one's a little bit looser. Airplane's taking off in the background. How's life, Uncle? My life is great, thank you. Can I get my son one? He's into planes, cars, and stuff. Yeah, you can, definitely. If you don't have a local hobby shop near your house, then you can go online. There's all kinds of online vendors to buy this stuff. Now keep in mind this is kind of an advanced kit. If this is something you've never built before, you might find it a bit of a challenge. This is the actual fuselage, and then roughly how big it is you can see here. It's probably a good foot wide. So yeah, what do I do for a living? I build models. It's what I do. That's not actually true. I'm not a professional model builder. Anyway, what I wanted to get started on today is our next chapter in the book. Is we got to get our tail fins on, our flaps. Okay, so I'm going to change the camera here. I've never done this, but he's 13. I think he'll like it. You're so good what I followed. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for the follow. If you've never done this before, I would recommend not this kit. I would recommend something like a Tamiya kit. Tamiya, of course, is just another brand, but they do make kits that go together really well, and they fit together perfectly, and yeah, so I would recommend a Tamiya kit. This one, although it goes together, there's a lot of parts, there's a lot of tiny little parts to it. It's highly detailed kit. Yeah, I would recommend something a little more simpler than this one, if it's your first time and you've never built one before. So yeah, I would just recommend that. Okay, I'm going to change the camera here so you can see my instructions a little better and what we're going to do. So I'll just change this here. Alright, So I'm not going to be installing the engines yet because we got a whole lot of painting to do on these. I did do the painting on the inside of our tips there, so I did some Tamiya panel lining in there and then cleaned it up, and so we've got our things in there, and of course these are black inside here with our flame holders in there, and so that's eventually going to go on this like that. But I would kind of want to leave the assembly until later on. That's going to allow me to do a lot. This is going to be the most challenging painting I've done on an engine, because of the way these guys look in real life. I'll actually see if I can bring up a picture for you and see, so you can see what these things look like in real life, and what is a good reference. I should be able to get this one up on the screen for you. This is a pretty good representation here. Where is it here? Maybe this scene here? No. Here we go. I'll change this one. This is not the picture we're looking for, but I'll change it here. We're going to go with this picture here. Oh, we're rotated. That's fun. There. So you can see what the engines look like in a real plane. That's a lot of painting, a lot of different colors that I'm going to have to go with on that. So yeah, you get an idea of what that's all about. I'll see you around. I'm going to eat something. Great man. Have a blessed life. Follow. Thank you. Thank you, Hashim. Thank you very much. So yeah, the engines are going to be a lot of painting, a lot of masking, a lot going on with those. We're going to be leaving those for another time because that just takes up so much time. Today I want to do the flaps. I want to get the flaps installed on this guy and some of our detail at the back here. So I got to grab my A tree, and so let's find our A tree and see what we're going to be getting involved with here. I actually believe it's these that I've trimmed off to make life easier. It's these guys here. So let's get these off the sprue. I was watching Matt McDougall's build on his flankers again just a short time ago, and he was mentioning a little bit of a challenge in getting these flaps in there. So I'm kind of anticipating, I'm anticipating the challenge that these little pins are going to, as he mentioned, these go in on an angle. As you can see, they go on an angle on here, which means you can't put these in a straight line like this. You kind of have to go in with their angle, and that's a bit of a challenge, he says. So I'm hoping it's not too much of a problem. I'm just going to make sure my nub's all nice and flush on here so that I don't have a fitment issue. I love this razor file. I cannot tell you guys enough how much this thing has changed my ability to get rid of nubs and have them smooth and flat. Like nothing else. It really is. I cannot recommend it enough. Now, of course, I'm not endorsed by anybody. This is all out of my own pocket. I don't get paid for nothing. So they do say in the instructions here, if you want to have the flaps up, and flat, then you trim all of these little pins off. And of course that would make it easier to install it. But I want to have the flaps down. Okay? I'm kind of doing this plane in a parked position. So it's pretty obvious which one goes where. This guy's going to go on this side and not this side because that wouldn't fit now, would it? So let's see how these all go in here. Try and get those pins lined up. See, there's all your little holes. All your little holes where those pins go in. So you got to get those lined up. And of course, getting them lined up is the challenge here. They don't really line up in there. I can see now why he had the problem getting them in there, because you kind of hit this, the side of the fuselage as you try and get these in there. The more you have it up, the more they're out of alignment. Let me do this here. Probably get my head in the camera. Yeah, they really don't want to line up because we're hitting the side of the fuselage right here. We're about a millimeter off on every single pin. I cannot get in far enough. If there, just like that. So that's the trick. That's the real trick to it. It kind of sits there on its own too. So the trick, as I've just discovered, let's tip this over here. Okay, the trick is when you're doing this, try and get this on camera, almost have this down at a 90-degree angle, and that's when the pins will line up finally. Almost 90 degrees is what you need to do. 90 degrees to get those pins. You have it any further up and they don't line up. Get this. See, now that I have it like this, it fits. They line up great. But the further I have it up, the more they're out of alignment. Okay. So what I did on the other side is I just kind of touching in there and kind of trying to shove them in their holes as I rotate it up, and they just kind of pop in like that. And I guess because of the pressure that they're now all on, they're kind of bent just a little tiny bit, and that holds this thing in place. It doesn't even want to, even pulling on it a little bit, it doesn't want to come out. This one's got a little bit of play, but yeah, this one's really tight. So because I am going to be doing a whole lot of masking with the paint job on this guy, I'm just going to leave these non-glued right now, so that later on I have the option of actually removing them and taping them up properly. So I'm just going to leave those. Okay. So that's the flaps. So let's put this guy down. That's our flaps in. We already have the leading edges of the wings in, right? I put those on last time, right? I showed you guys those. So that's done. We have our little tail piece that goes onto the back there. So let's grab C91 and I4, 2 pieces. So here's our I tree. We want number 4. It's this guy here. Okay, there's I4, and then we want our C tree, C91. This guy right here, our big pointy guy. We're going to be grabbing a bunch of parts off of their C tree after this, because I believe the next page we're going to be working on some landing gear parts. the front landing gear, I believe I need to assemble and then paint. There's a little bit of an unfortunate parting line on this. Let's scrape that off. Doesn't seem to be as prominent on this side, but it is a little bit. So just do a little bit of scraping, get that looking a little better. So we've got this guy supposed to go, there's a little, kind of a little indented section on there. You might be able to see it on the camera there, a little bit of an indent right there. And it looks like that's where this guy's going to go. Even though he's got like a, oh, that's just an ejector pin mark. He's going to go like this onto the top of it, just like that. Okay, so let's put that down, get some glue. Put him back on there, just like that. Give him a little press. Make sure he's nice and flush, tight. There we go. And I'll actually come in a little bit here. Here we go. Okay, so that's that. And now I'm going to move my fins out of the way here. Just going to move these guys. Now this piece is going to go onto the back of our airplane. Now actually, in hindsight, it probably would have been better to put this on after, because it's probably going to get knocked off now that I got to put this on here. This actually has to come in because of these two little pointy guys at the tip. This has to slide down. You can't put it on this way, so you got to slide it in there. This is a tight fit. Just like that. Tight little fit. Okay, that's that. So I'm going to use my other thin glue just so I've got a nice, good, secure tip on there. Just to make sure that's nice and strong. There we go. Okay, so there's our tip. Just like that. All right. Now, next. Excuse me. Working on, we've got some photo etch pieces that need to go on. So, which means this glue is going bye-bye. Because to put photo etch parts on, you need to use CA glue, also known as crazy glue. So, we have our little photo etch sheet here. They're referencing this part right here. Okay, so let's get this off of here. This has got a nice plastic coating on here to protect it. Okay, and they put it on both sides. So let's get this piece off of here. So I'm actually going to grab my piece of glass that I have on the side here. I've got all my paint sitting on top of it right now. So let's move these. Because I don't use this, I use this so infrequently, I just kind of have a tendency to pile all my stuff on top of it. Okay, let's clean this off. Here's my piece of glass. Okay. The reason why I do this, because if I cut on this, you're actually going to wind up bending the photo etch. And we don't want to do that. So pressure on there. Cut this off. You might see in the reference, in the photos, you see it says PE2, PE. PE stands for photo etch, right? Just an abbreviation. So get this off of here. So that's that guy. This guy is giving us a reference. We're supposed to line this up on the wing like this. Okay, so we've got our two holes here, here and here. We're supposed to line them up with our little circles here and here, like this. Line it up, and then we're supposed to put a piece of, put PE2 right in this spot here. So PE2, and what about the other side? Also PE2, okay? Number 2. So let's move this, grab the glass again. We want number 2, which are these little guys here. So I'll get 2 of these off of here. Here we go. We're going to need number 1 and number 3 later on. Okay, but I'm going to have to get my CA glue, so I'm going to use my patented CA glue holder. It's been a while since I've used this. I don't know if my tip is plugged. Yep, it's plugged up. My tip always gets plugged up. When I leave it for a while and I haven't used my glue in a bit. So, here's my drill bit. Let's get this unplugged. Okay, that should be good. Let's see. Do I get some flow? Yep, there we go. Okay. Okay, and I'll get my patented CA applicator. This all on the side, ready to go. So let's move this out of the way. This here. Grab our plane. Okay, so we want this lined up here, and I'm going to need my tweezers, which are now buried underneath my instructions. We know where it has to go. Okay, we know that this now the other thing I want to do, I want to get the edges fixed up, because where I cut it from that piece, you now have a little, as close, even as close as you try to get with the X-Acto knife, it still leaves a little bit of a nub. So I like to use my flat tweezers and get this in there as close to the edge as I can and get it straight and hold on to it like that. And then I grab my file. I'll use the metal one. Normally I'll use my sponge, but I can use this one. And just because I'm struggling to see this, I'm going to put on my other glasses. Probably should have put these on half an hour ago, but that's okay. Okay, so that side's good. this other side done. There we go, just cleaning up that edge. Okay. Okay, I'll do the same on this guy. Photo etch is always that fine line between detail and pain in the butt. You know, some guys really have a talent for photo etch stuff. I have tried to develop a talent for it, and it's a challenge for me every time. But that's the way it is. So I'm just going to put this guy over here for now, because I know that's where he's got to go. Okay, so we're going to get a little bit of glue onto our plane. This is now in its spot, so put a little dab of glue down here. There we go. Try not to get glue onto this piece, that would be a bad day. And then we'll try and slide this guy into his new home. Now, using a different glue, something like a slow acting CA would probably be better. Because once he's in position, I'm going to press down on him. And that's it. He's done. He's in place. Okay, there we go. So we can switch over to the other wing now. Move this here, kind of like this. This out from underneath. So all you do is just take this and flip it over. And we'll get the other side. Just like that. Get this guy a little closer. Now I noticed there's got a little bit of a rectangle area inside of that detail, and on this side I wound up putting that detail, it's not quite centered on it, so it's got like 1/2 millimeter on this edge and then like a full millimeter on this side. So I put the full millimeter towards the back, so I'm going to try and just make sure they're the same so they're not backwards. Not that I'm really going to see it later on, but get him a little closer here just so he's ready. Okay, another dab of glue, just like that, and hold this down so I can line them up. Kind of drop them in place just like that. There we go. Give it a press. Done. Okay, so those are on. Done. And that's it for this template. I think there's something else. I don't know what these lines are representing for, what those slots are, and they got an L and an S on there. I don't know. I know that this, when you lay this down, this little notch lines up with this pin that's sticking out of the wing, but I don't know. Besides that, I don't know what that's for. Okay, back to the instructions. PE1 goes on the tip of our nose here. There is detail, there's rectangular detail here and here where those are supposed to be placed. So that makes life a little easier. PE1 are these long rectangular pieces, and then we got PE3 is supposed to go up in here somewhere in between the engines. So let's get PE1 and put those on here and here. So let's move this so I can cut them off. Now if you really, I do have actual PE snips. I fell into the gimmick. I fell for the gimmick of buying PE snips instead of using an X-Acto knife. And although they're a little bit easier for removing them, it's like you just get them in there and you snip like a pair of scissors. I don't really find that they get any closer to the edge, and I don't think they really, and it's just not that much help. I got these ones actually pretty close, so I don't need to do the filing on them. Okay, so let's grab this. And I know exactly where they go. They go right in this spot here and this spot here. So, a bit of glue on there. Let's grab one here. It can be a challenge to pick up sometimes. There we go. Put it the right way around. And I let go of my, there we go. There we go. There's just a slight little bend to it, to this piece. Just a slight little curve. So I just want to make sure I'm actually getting that curve in there. Got a hair or something there. So there we go. There's that on there. That's that side. And I actually can see that it's not quite conforming on this tip here. So I'm going to try and add just a little bit of glue in there and try and get that to stay down. Tip of my fingernail holding it down. I think I got it. Oops. So much for that. See? Put a little bit of pressure on something and then it just, you take a piece right off. I'll re-glue that in a minute. I'm not quite glued down on that front edge, and that's what I'm trying to get here. Just hold that. I think I got it now. Yeah, there we go. Now it's staying. Okay. Let's do the other one. Glue is here so I can grab this. place. Which of course is a challenge. You only have a moment of time, a small moment of time, before the glue cures, and then it will not move for you. There we go. Okay, those are on. Let's put our I said nose, but let's put our tail piece back in. Get them lined up. Okay, let's put him back in, and let's get him glued again. Okay. There we go. Okay, that's done. Okay, let's go back to our instructions. I wasn't expecting to spend a bunch of time on photo etch. PE number 3 goes into a couple little spots here on the rear spine. Actually, I'm going to leave those, because I see a couple of pieces here. I-10 and C-92 are supposed to go onto the spine here. And I would rather focus on those instead of more photo etch pieces that just lay down flat and just add some detail that you're never really going to pay attention to. So let's grab those. C-92. These two guys right here. One, two. And we needed I number 10. This little half circle here. Okay. Let's just clean that up. These look like little C-92 looks like tiny little intakes of some sort. They actually got detail. You can see there's a hole inside of it. That's nice detail. Okay. And it looks like it's fairly obvious where they go. These big indents here, here, and here. All three of those. This guy goes here. Like that. Let's give him a little press. They're a tight fit, so you can press them in. And they'll stay. So let's grab my glue. Glue there. Just give them a little press down. There we go. Just like that. Next, this one. Just like that. measure. And that one's done. Just a little more, just to make sure. Okay. And then we have our little half circle. It's going to go in here. It looks like we've got to tuck it underneath this little lip. Well, not really. You don't have to tuck. You just put it down in its spot. Just like that. And that's it. It's interesting that it's kind of off to the side. It's not right in the center. Interesting little detail why it's not centered. So just press down on it, make sure it's got a good fit in there, and that's that. Alright, my photo etch piece on this side looks like it's really raised. There's one thing I don't like about photo etch is it adds a raised bit to the detail, and I don't like that, but it is what it is. Okay, so that's done. We've got a couple of fins here that are supposed to go on the top. I don't really like putting fins on like this because, well, they have a tendency to break off on me later on. But we will try. We will try. I-35 and 36. Okay, they go here and here. Okay. So let's grab those off our eye tree. 35 and 36. Yeah, this guy's a big one too. See, that's also going to make this a bit of a challenge for 36 is a smaller one. That also means it's a challenge for masking when we're doing our painting because our fins are on already. But for actual masking, you know, I find it's a catch-22. If you leave them off and then you paint it and then you put them on after, there's a potential of kind of getting a difference in your paint color when you go to install them. That happens sometimes. I'm gonna just kind of, I don't want to accidentally get glue on my masking tape here, so let's just pull that back a little bit. I find sometimes, you know, you go to you wait until the last step, you've got the thing painted, and you go to put this on, and then the glue, for some reason, I find this actually sticking out and creating a lip on it. Almost like the base of this is too thick. My tweezers are not wanting to hold on to it either. The base is kind of sitting high. I kind of want to just kind of shave this down just a little bit so it sits a little more flush. So I happen to have my file out here, so let's just try this and just kind of file this down a little bit. See if we can convince it to just sit a hair lower into its spot. I like the look of that better. Okay, so I gotta make sure it's straight up and down, and that looks pretty good. Okay, there we go. We've got our little fin in there, right there. There's one. Okay. Now let's look at this guy. He's got kind of a square peg as a base. It's a tight fit, but he fits. Yeah, he sits flush. He's a little bit better than the other guy. And let's make sure he's straight. Yep, straight up and down. So there's that guy right there. A lot easier to see him, and that means a lot easier to break off. So now I can't flip this over and sit it on its top because of those guys, but that's the way it is. What I could potentially do is grab a piece of foam or something like that and just tape it to the top here, and then I wouldn't have to worry about it at all, because then I could flip it over. You know, I got spare pieces of foam all over the place. I could take this and just tape it down, and that way I can flip it over as much as I want and not worry about these guys, right? Anyway, that's that. So other than putting the tail fins on, which I'm not going to worry about right now because I don't want to. I don't want to put them on until we're ready for painting, or even after painting. I'm not going to put the tail fins on. That's going to be later on. But that's basically it for this page. So other than a couple of pieces of photo etch, which I'm not going to bother with, this bit's done. So we move on to step 13. I got a little less than 10 minutes left before my chicken's done. So let me put my glass back into its little space here. Okay, so now we're going to do landing gear. Now I'm pretty sure I don't have these, the front landing gear painted the correct color that it should be. So I'm going to do some installation. I'm going to put these, do some assembly. I'll leave the wheels off for now, and then I'll get this put together and I'll do some painting. I'll have to paint it. So we need some parts off of our C tree. Again, our big C tree that most stuff comes off of. We're going to start with 31, 21, and 94. So let's see. Here's 21 right here. I do have this painted a dark gray, which is what I painted the rear landing gear, but it's wrong. In reference photos I found that these pieces are actually this color here, instead of the darker gray. So you'd see 31, this guy here. This actually looks like rear landing gear, which means this is correct color. 31, we need C94 and 48. 48 is this little rod right here. A little hard to get in there. There we go. And we need 94. It's 83, 84, 94 right here. This little guy. These guys. Okay. So watching Matt McDougall's thing, they tell you to put C21 and have it lined up here at the bottom, but that's actually wrong. If you take this like this guy here, so that would be here, but that is incorrect. It's supposed to go here. They show 94 going to the bottom pillar, but it should be going here. Okay, and that's this. They show it correctly here. Because what they do is this guy kind of goes like this and kind of clips on, almost clips on like that. It's actually movable. And then the bottom one, I want to have this in the right direction. These two actually meet together like this in the middle. Okay, which means this guy goes like this, clips onto that part, and then they meet in the middle. Isn't there a song, Meet Me in the Middle? It's a little bit hard to get it on there. There we go. Okay, and then they meet in the middle like this. Like that. And so that's how they're supposed to go. Just like that. Okay? Just like that. And not the way this is showing. They do show it correctly over here, and of course they show you with the other one, and of course they're showing it again incorrectly. This is wrong. This is not the way it's supposed to go. They should have had a correction sheet for these also, but they didn't, and so that's the way it goes. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm not going to glue them yet, because this little section here is supposed to be chrome. And so the fact that I can leave these like this and get in there with paint is a nice little option. I have a new little set of paints I decided I'm going to try. I picked these up on Amazon. Steady electroplated markers. In this little box we got 3 colors. We get a copper and like a gold and a chrome. And I saw somebody was using these online, and so I thought I'd give it a try. They did not mention how well they work. See, those are 3 different colors. So I'm going to try the chrome. Shake it up a little bit here. It has a really nice tip on it. Really nice looking tip. Very nice and fine. You guys know I like to use the Molotow chrome. But I'm going to try this stuff on this just because it gets into the fine area. The instructions say to let it cure for 24 hours. So that being said, the fact that I'm never really going to touch inside this means I don't have to worry about how that's going to look later. Okay, so that's that. That's what it looks like now. It's nice and shiny. Looks like chrome. It's a relatively good facsimile for chrome. I'd say comparative to Molotow. It'd be interesting to see how this stuff sprays, or what it's like on a larger surface. I did kind of test it when I first got it. It says that it lays down. When you leave it, it's good for large surfaces. It does advertise itself as that, being good for large surfaces. That it levels out nicely, so you don't have brush strokes or brush marks. I wasn't convinced. It didn't look that great. If I was doing a bigger surface, like let's say for example I wanted to paint like on the engines, this ring, if I wanted to paint that chrome, I would spray that. I wouldn't want to just use the marker. I would want to spray that. Okay, so there's that. It's unfortunate I've got an injector pin mark right there on this side, but it is what it is. Okay, so that's that. We've got C48 that needs to go on here, and that looks like it kind of goes between this point here and this point here is what it looks like. So let's see if we got this lined up. We're going to line up this little pin there, but going in like that. sometimes it helps to actually put glue on a piece on one end of it in order to get it just to sit for a minute. And then that goes in there, okay. It just kind of sits flat on there, I guess. Okay, so I'll grab my other glue, my thicker stuff. Oh, I'm just about out of time. I'm going to be able to get this piece on, and then I've got to run away. So put this on there, just a little dab. Put this pin in there. That. And then this. It's a little hokey. It's not really a great alignment. I'm not exactly sure how this is supposed to really align. I think it's supposed to sit like that. Which is not a really fantastic flush fit. But I suppose it is. It is what it is. So that's that. Come on. Just like that. Okay. So that's that. Okay, I'll put a wheel together and then we'll save the rest for later. So I gotta get going. So we've got a tire here, C28. Pick your tire, doesn't matter. And clearly I need to touch up the paint on these. And then we got C24 and C8. C24 is this guy here. And then C8 is this guy here. Like I mentioned before, the Russians, they do things a whole different way than Americans do. Americans, airplanes, aircraft, these parts would be all white, but no, not the Russians. They do their shafts in gray and they do the wheels in green. We also need C27, I missed that. For the other side of the wheel. These are keyed in such a way that you need to fit them in. There's a little notch on the inside of the tire here. See that there? There's a notch. Because these tires actually have the flat spots on them, which is a nice feature. You don't normally get that in very many kits. But these tires actually have the flat spot from the weight. And so they have to go on in an exact certain spot, a certain way. So we've got a little tab on the inside of this one to line that up. Let's line that up. Okay, just like that. I'm going to glue it from the inside, just so that I don't mess up my paint. At least I'm not on that side anyway. Okay, because obviously my paint, I got to touch that up, and that's going to, now that I've got the rim on there, that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. And then we have our brake. Brake is a great big, it only goes on in one direction. We don't have a circle, it's a big D. It's nice to have a big D. There we go. And then we have the tab on this side too. Line this up. Put this side of the wheel in. There we go. It's going to go like that, but I'm going to put glue on it if I can. Yeah, I'm going to put glue on the inside here first. Just like that. Line up that tab again. There we go. And there's the outside of the wheel. Okay, so there's your wheel, and of course it's got a D hole on it also to line up on our little shaft right here. It's gonna go, whoops, it's gonna go like this, just like that, obviously with the flat part of the tire down, and there's one of our landing gears. Okay, but because I got to paint this up and tidy that up, I need to do that, so I'm not going to glue that on right now. But this is where I'm going to finish for today, guys, because it's time for me to get going, and so that's where I'm going to leave it for now. I will do the other landing gear, the other main gear, off camera, and then next time we'll work on our front landing gear. Okay, we'll do that next time. We'll get that all buttoned up next time, because I believe the parts that I need to do on the front, I'm going to have to paint them also. I don't think I have them the correct color right now, so I'll have to deal with that next time. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I thank you for coming out. And don't forget to hit that like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe also. Leave a comment down below also. Let me know how you feel and what you think about this stuff. I'm always open to lots of criticism. You guys know that. And you know, I do try to reply to all my comments, so I do make an effort for that, so go ahead. And you also notice some links down below in the description box to my Instagram, to my Twitch, all that kind of stuff. And you can check me out there. Every time I finish a project like this, I upload photos to my Instagram, and so you can check me out on there too. Once I do hit 1,000 subscribers, I am going to be doing a collaboration with my fiance and going to be building a couple of Porsches together. And so that's going to be a totally different type of series, because I'm not doing it here. The camera setup's all different. Doing it together, and yeah, so hit subscribe, guys, and the sooner you do that, then the sooner we get that video series out. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.